they continued to whine and leap against the chicken wire enclosure in excitement. Lizzie set the bow aside and crossed the mossy yard, her moccasin-covered feet nearly silent on the cushiony bed of deep green. Sorrow pierced her as she gazed down at the magnificent animal. Death always saddened her, but she pushed the emotion aside. She would celebrate this kill, this gift. Quickly, the routine so familiar she could perform the actions without conscious thought, she removed her knife from the sheath she always wore on her belt and bled the moose to prevent the meat from spoiling. Thank you, her thoughts sang. How fortunate that the animal had come in the early hours, before the dogs awakened and frightened it away. How fortunate that it had ventured near during the first days of nearly endless sun, when she could work late into the night and still be able to see to skin it, prepare the meat for the smokehouse, and boil the bones for future use. Everything about the kill felt miraculous. She turned toward the cabin to retrieve her skinning knife, but her gaze drifted to the pen where the dogs lined the fence, their tongues lolling, mouths smiling, tails wagging. Lizzie chuckled softly. The carcass could wait a few minutes while she greeted her companions. As she neared the enclosure, they leapt, bouncing off the wire fence and springing over one another's backs in eagerness. Lizzie reached for her favorites first. George and Martha served as the lead dogs for her sled. The two worked in accord with each other, and with her. The pair had been her father's, which made her love them all the more. Surely there were no two finer dogs in all of the Yukon. She wove her fingers in their thick ruffs, and they wriggled around, their identical black and white snouts nuzzling her palms. She scratched them beneath their chins, laughing when they tipped their heads for more. The other dogs swarmed her, nudging George and Martha out of the way. Lizzie tried to pet each one by turn, but slowly they drifted away, sniffing the air and panting. They whined again, but from deep in their throats, and Lizzie knew the breeze had carried the moose's scent to their keen noses. She hoped her dogs were the only animals that had picked up the scent of the kill. She had no desire to fight a grizzly for her moose, but she'd do it if she had to. She needed the meat as well as the hide. If she had to fight, the dogs would help. Their faithfulness to her knew no end. "I must go to work now," she told the dogs. "Be good, and you'll have fresh meat for your dinner today." The dogs, as if able to understand, leapt in circles, their white teeth biting at the air in happiness. Still laughing softly, Lizzie hurried to the cabin to retrieve her skinning knife. Just before slicing the blade through the moose's thick shoulder, she paused and allowed herself a moment to admire the smooth, flawless hide. The biggest miracle of all. Gratitude filled her. If everything went well, the gift of this moose's hide might make reconciliation with her grandparents possible. And once peace existed between Vitzi and Vitse and herself, she'd finally have the freedom to leave this place and join Boss Dawson. Thank you, Moose. Clay Selby strapped the wooden accordion case onto his back, shrugging to adjust the bulky weight on his spine. He turned to his stepsister, Vivian. The weeks of travel had taken their toll. She looked ready to wilt. He'd tried to convince her to stay behind with their parents. If she found the Kiowa Reservation on the Oklahoma Plains formidable, living in a village in the Alaskan wilderness would certainly be difficult for her to endure. But she'd insisted she could be of use in opening the mission school. Now she sagged against the railing that lined the paddle-boat's deck, bedraggled and with dark circles under her eyes. She caught him looking at her. With a jolt, she stood upright and curved her lips into a weary smile. "Almost there." Despite her brave posture, her voice wavered. Clay hoped she'd make it. He'd have more than enough to do getting the school started, if he had to mollycoddle Vivian, too.